Hey everybody, Noma Lang, I'm Charlie Moses here with DemocaMobiles.com. I'm here with Dr. John Beckem, founder of the Personal Finance Institute. How are you doing today, Dr. Beckem?
I'm doing excellent, Noma. How are you doing today?
Very good, thank you. So the question for today on the Ask Dr. Beckham segment is, I'll actually read it. Someone has an idea for a small business. Then everyone in the village, you can tell who's asking the question, everyone in the village, the town, or the city sells the same product or the same service than the original one, and then drives the original person out of business. So I guess the question is, how can you insulate yourself from that happening to you when you have a great idea and you turn it into a business?
Okay. Well, I guess the best way is to find out if something can have a patent on it. If you created a product that you can actually go apply and secure a patent, that ensures that someone else cannot copy your thoughts or your product or your idea. And not everything can you go and get a patent on, if you're not the originator of thoughts or ideals. So let's say you're not allowed to get a patent, it's something that you can't, is not patentable. Then how can you secure yourself or someone else doing the same thing? Well, number one, customer service is huge. If you're going to do something, and we can create whatever. So your company is ABC, and you sell tires, as an example. And there's a lot of different companies that sell tires, but maybe it wasn't a great tire place in your town. Well, I want to make sure I provide the best customer service as possible. You will be surprised how many people will solicit your company and your services just based upon the customer service they receive. Even if you're a little bit higher in price, people will come to you versus going to the warehouse down the street or a lower price because of your customer service. Your customer service, your quality of service, the quality of product, the follow through, follow up. Have you sent out flyers or friendly email or reminders to your customers? Have you given them access to a social media page that lets them know what's going on? Do you remember your customers by name? Do you recognize them? Do you know what they received last time, and ask them how did that work out for them? Have you asked them for their opinion, whether in a survey, quantitative or qualitative format? So these are things how you can insulate yourself from someone else coming and say, hey, I want to be the tire shop down the street. Another thing is to develop a niche. So you can have broad perspective in any type of retail, service, or industry, but you can say, hey, you know what? I'll become an expert at this one small thing, and that's what I'm a focus, laser focus on. So if I look at financial services as an example, and that can cover a very broad spectrum of different things. You can say, well, I'm gonna target just mortgages. So I'm gonna do mortgages to middle class individuals who are maybe afraid or apprehensive in going into the banks. They don't want to be overcumbered by a lot of different things. And so you become laser focused just on mortgages, and you find ways to service your target audience. You find ways to give free classes or seminars in regards to mortgages. You create resources to help walk them step by step and fill out a form or gathering the information that's needed. You provide simplistic education and information so that people can understand. And so, yes, they can go to bank to get a car loan. They can get mortgages there. They can do other businesses. But now you become an expert at this niche, and you become the best available, not only in your town, but maybe also in the surrounding town. I like to say tri-county area. That's how you can insulate, because anybody with some money can go out and mimic the same product or service, but they cannot duplicate or replicate who you are. And so you got to figure out, how do you now bring your character, your morals, your ethics, your quality of doing things into the fabric of your business or service.
Right. So tough question, tough follow-up question here.
Yes.
So you, in the first part of the answer, you talked about, better customer service, better this, better that. I do some business coaching. Is usually when it's usually people like me. It's a mom. She has a husband. And yeah, she has a husband. She has a lot going on, but she wants to create an income stream that she can kind of generate and maintain or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Number one, she doesn't have a lot of time. Number two, she doesn't have a lot of money. But the thing is, I know they can be successful because I've seen people be successful if they're consistent, right? And they follow some of the things you say, if they create a niche for themselves or whatever. But when you look at the original question, somebody can steal, right? Even if she's consistent and she's doing it or whatever, the truth is she doesn't have a lot of time to do the extra stuff that somebody who has more time could do. She doesn't have extra money to do the extra stuff that the other person can do. And somebody who doesn't have a gaggle of kids running around, a husband who's coming home, and whatever else she has going, could easily do the things that she just cannot as one human being do. So how do you navigate that?
Well, couple of things. So first and foremost, you can never make excuses, right? So even though you have a lot of things going on, you got family, you got kids, well, that individual decided to have those kids. So you got to say, okay, I'm accepting my situation as is. And now what can I do in spite of my situation or in addition to my situation?
Right. It's not in spite of, because we're all happy to have kids and have husbands. Yes, it's not in spite of, in addition.
In addition, okay. So now I begin to break things down to the least common denominator. So I say, okay, well, I need 8 hours of sleep. So that's 8 hours gone. And then say, you know what, I'm going to be a mom during the day, X, Y, and Z. I'm doing things with the kids, and I'm going to plan out 10 hours. So let's say that's 10 hours plus you got the 8. That's 18 hours. So you still got remaining 6 hours of time. So what do you do with those 6 hours? You might say, well, the best time for me to operate as a mom is maybe during the first few hours that my kids are down to sleep, right? So maybe you could provide a service after hours for those individuals who might be in the same type of situation, whether or not they're working during the morning or whether they are a stay-at-home mom or stay-at-home dad. And so I'm going to provide a service or a product that's going to be a niche to those who have the same time allocated for something else, which could be during the day. And I'm going to provide my service for them in the evening, when their kids are down, when their husband or wife is sleeping, for the first few hours, first 3 hours, first 4 hours. And so then again, you begin to build a niche and people begin to relate to you. It's like, wow, they can have compassion. They are also a stay-at-home mom. They're also doing things, but yet they're doing something during the evening. Another thing that someone might say would say, hey, you know what? At this current moment, it might be a lot for me to take on all this at once. And there's someone I think might be coming in, doing the same type of business down the street. Maybe there's opportunity for us to build a partnership. No one says that you've got to be a sole proprietor by yourself. So whereas you might only be able to reach a small portion of clientele, and this person might only be able to reach or serve as a small clientele. But if you pull yourself together and create a legally binding joint venture, and I always say legal because there's so many other avenues where things can break up and then you're fighting over who gets what. But you go in and say, we're going to treat this as a real business. We're going to create a joint venture, a legal binding, legal entity. And we're going to create this and put our thoughts and ideals together. And we can do a lot more together than we could do individually. So you don't always have to perceive someone as a competitor who stole your ideal. Say, hey, there might be different facets that we can do. I do during the evening because I'm a stay-at-home mom. If that's your case scenario, you do during the day for corporate, and together we got most of the day, maxed out where we're servicing or providing a product.
Absolutely. I might even add to the other variation may be, I have flexibility and time and you have the capital or the money or whatever.
Oh, absolutely. Right. I've started joint ventures that way myself, some into an industry that I have an interest in. The cash flow is there, but I'm not an expert in that field, nor do I want to allocate time where I can better utilize somewhere else. So by doing that, I say, hey, I'll be a silent partner. I'll put up, the majority of the cash, but you're going to be the name, the face behind the brand and actually working it. You know, you're managing the personnel, you're doing a day-to-day operation. And you can do different splits, 60-40, 70-30, 80-20, whatever works in your partnership. So you're still receiving a passive income because your work was the money, whereas they don't have the money, so their work is their sweat equity. But there's value added on both sides.
Right. And then the last thing that I wanted to add was at the beginning, you talked about establishing a patent. Somehow that sounds British, patent.
Yeah.
But the other thing that I wanted to add to that, and this applies more to people like me with like, you know, some of my income streams come from blogging and doing things online, is copyrights. And, you know, you'll have slogans and names and things and trademarks, which I think I've had to do in order to protect my intellectual property and to protect parts of my brands and my businesses. So in addition to what Dr. Beckem said, which is get your patent, also get copyrights and also get trademarks. And then the other thing to consider is those things do, sometimes the costs do add up if you're a small business and you're starting up. But in the long run, if your goal is to protect yourself, it will do that. It will protect you from somebody coming in and just grabbing it.
Yeah. You know, keep in mind some of the best capital spent, especially for any startup company, is the money spent for a good lawyer and a good CPA. You know, I know a lot of people say, you know, well, I don't have much money, so they try to find a bargain, you know, a bargain basement CPA or a bargain basement lawyer or someone that kind of went to law school but didn't finish. You're hurting yourself, right? Spend the money. Pay for quality expertise that you do not possess. So if you're not a lawyer, you want to get the best lawyer available. And also, it's tax deductible as a business write-off. You know, you want to get the best CPA because you have to look at total costs, not just initial costs. Because even though you can save money up front, it might cost you more money down the road through lawsuits, through something not being done correctly or missed opportunity. So it's better to spend the money up front to get the adequate and competent help and actually can save you money long run. So I always encourage entrepreneurs, those who have those aspirations, pay the money, get you a good lawyer, get you a good CPA. File the necessary documents to have your legal business entity set up, protected, you know, LLC, partnership, joint venture, C Corp, S Corp, whatever that case might be. And also get you a good CPA, someone who knows your industry, has been doing your industry for a while, you know, because there's a difference in CPAs, just like there's a difference in lawyers. You know, some lawyers do corporate law, some lawyers do real estate, some lawyers do, you know, criminal, civil. So you want to find one that's in the field and has recommendations or have been referred to you by someone who's in the industry that says, hey, this is a good quality person.
Yeah, and the other thing that actually goes with that is once you start making those kinds of moves, it actually separates the hobby people from the business people, because
Absolutely.
People, I find, are saying they want a business, but they're actually behaving like they have a hobby.
Yes, and there is a difference between a hobby and a business. There's a difference between, you know, entrepreneurs and wannabes.
Right. And obviously, if you're going to make those moves of really acquiring good services and paying for them, that sets you apart. And even for yourself in your own mind, like, okay, if I'm going to pay for this, that means I have to get serious and I have to consistently do the things I need to do to get to the next level.
And you brought up a very important point. Entrepreneurship starts in the mind first. You got to have the mindset first before you go out there and start spending, or in some cases wasting money. Because if you don't have that type of mindset, if you're not willing to put in the work, it is easier to punch a 9-to-5 clock than it is to be an entrepreneur. You know, whatever job that you have, if you're working for a corporation, you only have to think about whatever your task is, which is one small piece of a larger corporation. So if you're an accountant, you're only thinking about the numbers for the company. Or if you're a mechanic, you're only thinking about this. Even if you're just say a janitor, you only think about the floors and the trash. But as an entrepreneur, you have to think about all of it. You have to think about the insurances, the operation. You have to think about, customers, liability, maintenance, upkeep. You have to think about the whole entire company, which never stops. So it's more than just punching a 9 to 5, which is actually a lot easier. And you have to be prepared for this. And you have to know what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses. So your strengths, you capitalize on it, but your weaknesses or where you don't have much knowledge, you have to be willing to go out and acquire that knowledge, whether you bring someone in partnership, become a stakeholder in your company, or whether or not you're soliciting someone's services, through paying out fees. But it's a different ball game.
Absolutely. Just want to remind everybody that for more information and more courses and segments, they can go to the Personal Finance Institute, which Dr. Beckem is the founder of. So that's the Personal Finance Institute. You can also check out his blog at drjohnbeckem.com. drjohnbeckem.com. There's a tab there that says blog, and you get more segments like this and more written articles and information about your personal finances, and also the Life After Debt program and more personal finance information. So just one more time, it's the Personal Finance Institute, which is at Teachable, and then the blog is at drjohnbeckem.com. And as I always say in all the segments, this information that we're getting is free, and I never want to make the mistake of mistaking free for lacking in value, because I recognize the value, and I always joke that I have a front row seats to everything that goes on at the Institute. So thank you, Dr. John Beckem, for the information, and there'll be more segments like this, which is Ask Dr. Beckem, and he'll answer your questions. So thank you guys, and thank you, Dr. Beckem.
My pleasure. Have a great day.
You too, bye.